With us, this is still Journalist Hangout on Sunday, and I still have in the studio BKO and Kolawole Johnson. All right, so BKO, reports say Nigeria has witnessed over 100 national grid collapses since 2013 and 7 times this year. Why is it so hard to check this?
We actually had eight system collapses this year alone, and sometimes it's partial, sometimes it's complete. At 8 complete system collapses this year. Some months we had 2, some just 1 month. There are all kinds of problems responsible for grid collapses. Sometimes even gas supply, when the thermal stations need a level of gas supply, you must achieve an equilibrium level of gas supply across board. If some of the power plants do not have access to gas and they cannot produce enough, they cannot generate enough to feed into the national grid, once it's lower than that threshold, it triggers a system collapse. We've not been able to solve the problem of gas to power stations. Sometimes, as a result of sabotage, people break the gas pipelines. Access to gas becomes a problem for the power plant because the power plants are located far away from the source of gas in the Niger Delta. So that is a problem. Then sometimes the GENCOs, for not paying their gas suppliers, they may decide not to even supply gas. That is also a problem that needs permanent, needs to be addressed permanently. But as we have said a number of times, power generation is like a relay. You generate the power, it's fed into the national grid, which is controlled by TCN. Then from that point, it is picked up by the distribution companies. The distribution companies will then, they are the face of the power sector. They are the ones we interface with. You don't see the GENCOs, you don't see the TCN people until the other day when they decided to, against the law, go on strike. We only hear about TCN, we don't see them until they came out to go on strike and even recorded themselves doing something for which they should be in jail. So the DISCOs are the face of the sector. They are the ones that everybody is abusing. But some years back, Siemens conducted a stress report on the power sector, and that stress report actually showed that the weakest link was the transmission. That stress report showed that transmission was the weakest link. Now, we have capacity to generate more than 10,000 megawatts. The question to ask is, how come we are even barely able to do 5,000? Maybe in a year we will do 5,000 megawatts just a few times, or maybe just one time. Most of the time we do 3,000 plus, we do 4,000 plus. To do 5,000 megawatts it's not common. On the day we even reach the threshold of 5,333, by the next day we couldn't achieve it. We didn't even go close to it. So there is a need to look at some of the equipment I know that this government has invested heavily in the transmission leg of the power sector, but there are still a lot of transmission lines, a lot of equipment that have been there for more than 40 years that need to be freshened up. Sometimes when we talk about this, they will abuse us. They'll say, what is he saying? Or what is he saying? He assumes that he knows it all. But these are products of investigation. I'm now happy that even at the level of National Assembly, they are saying the same thing that we have been saying, that some of the equipment available to the transmission company of Nigeria are old and need to be replaced. So the investment in the sector, kudos to the government for what they have done. But that investment has to be sustained over a long period before we will be able to say, yes, we are getting there and we are getting there gradually. But the way it is now, if we don't freshen up the equipment, replace them, we will keep having this problem. There's a need for even the automation. Because when the chairman of the House Committee on Power was talking, he was also talking about the need to automate their, to go the route of automation at the Transmission Company of Nigeria. This is something that they have to do, and do it a lot more. Phase out the obsolete equipment, phase them out gradually, and we will begin to see improvement. What is the point in having the capacity to generate more than 10,000 megawatts, but we are unable to wheel at any time nothing up to 6,000 megawatts? We've never done 6,000 megawatts as a country. We've never, the highest we've done was 5,007, I think 7.5 something, you know?
All right. Kolawole, if TCN does not have a scanner to monitor its activities and installations, I'm worried. How then do we have constant power?
Well, we don't have constant power, now, so you don't need to worry about that. You don't need to worry about the scanner that they're not able to get. The situation is precarious enough. It's sad. You made mention of the fact that between 2013 and now that we've done about 100. In the actual sense, between 2010 and now, we have done either total or partial, a total of about 224, 225 system collapses in Nigeria thus far. A report shows that. And the same report shows that for every 1% or 1 hour, or thereabout, yes, for every 1% reduction or increase in power outages and collapse of the system, you have you have commensurately about 2.86% reduction in GDP. That turns to about $28.6 billion reduction in your GDP. So the losses is just beyond the power outages. It's seen in the economy. It's seen in every strata of the system. So the earlier we are able to fix this, the better. If we are asking for more investment in some strategic sector, it is not because you're not aware that we have cash crunch in the country. It is not because you're not aware that we are broke. That is why some things will need to give way. For example, I don't think we will be able to maintain this level of tariff as time goes on. Because if you need to make investment, you need to recoup the investment back. So some things will have to give way. I was very happy when I listened to the APC saying that they will take away subsidy. In fact, if there's any candidate that will not take away subsidy, for example, in fact, we will be very glad to campaign against, such person. So this investment will not just come, because right now the country is broke. Where are we going to get the money? We haven't borrowing to pay our debt, to service our debt. So the implication is that we need to look inward, get into the system. So one way we can also ensure that we put more investment in the power, in the power sector, is to look at our present tariff. We want to have the best without. We also want to run away from our responsibility to do that. You leave this country, you pay tax through your nose. The drop of water, that you're using, you pay for it for every single second. This is the country you see that somebody who gladly will be, subverting the system, will be shortchanging, the system by ensuring that they take away their ACs, from being charged. You want to live in a house and use your AC, use all your massive equipment. You don't want to pay. If you know the losses that the TCN is recording, that these GENCOs are recording, because of the fact that it is either they are being held and those who are owing them are not paying, or Nigerians are using this power. They're not ready to pay for it. So all of this is contributing to this system collapse.
Energy theft.
Honestly. So the theft is serious. Go to urban areas, go to rural areas. People are not paying. They find a way of
they bypass.
They bypass a lot of times. Yes, if you're shouting, "Oh, this country is not good, power is going," you are not paying for the one you're using. And so I think we need to ensure that the system we must be able to bring all the system to work, all the units of the system to work together. People, the consumers must pay for this energy, while also the investment that we have made also in that area, we should be able to recoup it by ensuring that the right tariff is introduced in Nigeria going forward. Just take it from me, and I said that the next person that will govern this country, the first 1 year, won't be a Tea Party, may be hated by the country, because some decisive decisions will be taken. Perhaps after the first 1 or 2 years, you will see stability and growth. But the first 1 year, I don't think you will see that Tea Party.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kolawole. Bikio, the House of Reps has promised another probe, and analysts on Nigeria are saying the only thing we achieve from these probes are exposing the problems, but no solutions. And then another exercise is about to begin.
Yes, I think those who are saying that they are not far from the truth. Many times, in the course of their oversight function, we see people brought before them. You see all kinds of revelations made needing prosecution of the people concerned. But after a while, after those startling revelations, we don't hear anything. I don't know what the problem is, whether it's the executive that steps in and stops this, stop them from going the whole hog, or maybe they face other pressures from outside the hollow chambers of the National Assembly, and they ultimately then refuse to do what they should do. But looking at...
Okay, I do apologize. I might have to allow you to hold your thoughts a bit while we take Chinozo from Bida. Hello, Chinozo.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
And good afternoon to Uncle Gigi. The first time I am calling on journalist Hangout.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you for calling.
Yeah, my full name is Chinomso Onya. I'm calling from Bida, the ancient city of the United Kingdom in Niger State.
Okay. Let's have your
go ahead.
contribution.
In fact, that video you showed, so sympathetic and so touching. But I like what the two journalists just said. Let it not just be a mere just talk. Please, I trust TVC. I trust you people. I know you people have been the #1 television station I've been watching, and I know you people used to do investigative journalism. And the other man that is wearing something all blonde clothes, he also talked something. He said he's going to follow it up, and I trust you should take this case off. And lastly, this issue of this light issue, the GENCO and the GENCO and all the names they are bearing. They started giving us light when it was raining. We were saying, I was telling people that this thing is politics. That very soon when the hot season starts, this light will drop. And that is what we are experiencing now in Niger State. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, Jimmy. I think it is good for him to understand the fact that I don't think they don't want to make money, because the more power they give you, the more money they're able to make. So they won't do politics by the supply. But don't forget that there are some things that are also responsible for that. When you have poor maintenance culture in a place, there are accidents that happen. When rain falls, there are incidents that, that drop some of their poles and, blow up, transformers and all of that. So it affects power supply. I don't think he's right by saying that they are playing politics to power supply.
Mikhail, please can you go ahead with your thoughts?
Yes. So what we want to see is not just the National Assembly investigating some of these agencies of government and exposing the audits happening in them. We want to see concrete action. The National Assembly and the executive must work together. I've seen, I think Senator Ndume was complaining the other day that they come up with all kinds of recommendations that are not honored by the executive. That has to stop. If you if you get a lot of cooperation from a National Assembly like this, then you have to respect them by taking their recommendations seriously. Where they recommend that you should do so and so, you have to, out of respect for them and for the fact that you are enjoying your relationship with them, honor them by at least implementing some of those recommendations. We have reached a point now that, as Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu said last week, no real economic growth and development can happen if we do not fix our power sector. The manufacturing and SMEs, they are the engines of growth in any economy, but they need power supply. We've got to do our best, improve the level of generation, improve the capacity of the TCN to will what is generated. Because if they can't will what is generated, then the progress made in the area of generation by way of freshening up their own equipment, they've invested a lot of equipment in at the level of the GENCOs, and they can generate between 10 to 12,000 megawatts. They have installed capacity to do that. But if they generate 12,000 or 10,000, the TCN should be able to will all of what is generated. That should be our goal. Our goal should be ensuring that the TCN, which is the only subsector of the power sector that is still 100% held by government. Talking about the DISCOs, is 60% owned by private sector elements. The GENCOs, 60%. Federal government retains 40% shares in both the DISCOs and the GENCOs, but 60% shares reside in the investors, the power sector. But talking about the transmission leg, it is 100% owned by the government. That is, they've not sold shares there, just owned 100% by the government. Government has to bring TCN to the point that it can will all of the capacity coming from the GENCOs. That is how we feel that, yes, this sector is truly healthy. But if they are able to generate 10,000 megawatts and they know that the maximum that that TCN can will, that they can push into the national grid, is less than 6,000. What do you expect them to do? And no one can tell me that a country like Nigeria, that prides itself as the giant of Africa, should be relying on 4,000 megawatts of electricity.
Even 3,000 2 times. 3,000.
4,000 Yes, there are days when we do 3,000, there are days when we do 4,000 there. We've done 5,007, but we've never gone beyond that 5,007. So the point that I'm making is, if a country like South Africa can do between 42 to 50,000 megawatts, yes, that should be what Nigeria should be looking to achieve. Some people think that 10,000 megawatts is enough, or it can't be enough. It can't be enough. And when people have access to electricity, it will energize businesses. The other day, the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria was saying that they were self-generating more than 14,000 megawatts to power their companies. So you can imagine if it was Nigeria, the GENCOs, all of them, if they were the ones, you know, doing the 14,000 megawatts, pushing the 14,000 megawatts to businesses, to manufacturers and all that, to use, they too will make a lot of money.
All right.
And the situation will be a lot better for us as a country.
We really need to take Ada from Jos. Hello, Ada, how are you doing?
And you too. Ada calling from Jos State. God will bless all of you there, especially Magaji Da'u.
Thank you,
I used to use what you used to tell us on. I used to use what you used to tell us on Journalist Hangout to make contributions, you know, and they used to get startled. I said, Magaji Da'u told us, and I believe him. He's a very renowned investigative journalist, and they have never challenged anything I told them. Now, I'm very happy about the lecturer thing. It's because we are having quota system lecturers or whatever. If not, an educationist will not do what he did. And I'm happy you have told us that you're going to follow it up, and I believe you're going to do it. May God continue to strengthen you.
And Kola Oletu has promised to do it.
Let me tell you something.
Yes.
Journalist Hangout. It's not all about obsolete equipment. Why can't the reps start looking towards decentralizing the power sector? How can a country as large as Nigeria be having only one national grid? The day I called into Radio Nigeria program, about power, it has to do with power, the program. An engineer there from the government sector, he was annoyed. He said, why am I calling it a grid collapse? That is wrong.
Thank you very much, Ada.
That's how we demarcate the country, that we should call it a system.
Thank you. Thank you for calling. Thank you for your contribution. All right. You want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say something about. I think she just mentioned something else. I think this election should also present us with the opportunity to look at who is offering, who is offering solutions to problems. For example, again, it's just a pity I have to make that reference again, even though I have my reservation about the candidacy. But Asiwaju Bola Tinubu started introduced us to this independent power generation. I think there was somebody he did on that in Lagos State then. And it would be good for us to see him, bring some policies in place, on how he will build on that to solve the power problem in Nigeria. That is most needed, because at the heart of this is a growth of businesses, the small businesses. For a man who wants to start a barbing shop, he doesn't need more than his clipper and maybe the mirror and a cloth. If it's a low scale, just a white cloth, there, but with a clip, But the entire money is needing is maybe 12, 15,000, say 20,000 naira. But by the time you're adding the fact that you would need a better pass my neighbor generator to it, it has increased, the amount, the startup amount to perhaps by 100%. So at the end, when he's cutting, when he's doing his job, he needs to fuel that. And there's no fuel in town. He's looking around to buy black market. So it is increasing the cost of doing business in Nigeria. For a man who wants to manufacture a little item, he's looking for how to get a very massive generator so that he can power the manufacturing line. So at the heart of growth in Nigeria is power that we must solve then. Nigerians should begin to look at which of these candidates, anyone, I'm not advocating for anyone you think will have the solution to this. Let it not be about who you like, who is from your place, who you think is speaking your language. It is who is speaking the language of solution to Nigeria problem. Thank
you very much, Kolawole. Let's quickly take Mohammed from Bida. Hello, Mohammed. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon to you.
Yeah. I want to make a little contribution to what you people are discussing for a while.
Please go ahead.
A moment now. That the federal government needs to, bring in a policy that will stand to fix our generation capacity and also transmission and distribution, because there is a lot of problems in our distribution lines. When we talk of equipment and distribution, there are lots of challenges so that our...
Thank you very much, Mohammed. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you. BKO.
Yes, at the heart of this decentralization should be a concrete plan to look at renewable energy. Renewable energy will help us power a lot of the hinterland, because look at some food production belts in our country, in the hinterland, in those rural areas, they really don't need so much power as such, but you can deliver to them renewable energy. It is safe, it is cleaner, and cheaper, So these are off-grid alternatives that we have to look at, because we cannot give everybody electricity from the national grid. So these off-grid solutions are there. I've seen the government even provide renewable energy for some hospitals, critical hospitals, even for schools. In Unilag here, they gave them some solar panels. They are able to generate electricity from renewable energy, driven by the REA, Rural Electrification Agency. They were the ones who installed renewable energy source for them at Unilag. At some of the hospitals, I think even here in Lagos, some public hospitals, they gave them electricity via solar. So remember too that Bayero University, they did something like that. So we need to do a lot of that. And from my investigation, the people in the rural areas, if they are certain about consistent electricity supply through these off-grid solutions, they are going to pay. They are not, because in the village, everyone will know yourselves. They know themselves. So they are going to pay. When you walk up to anybody whom you have supplied electricity through these off-grid solutions, they are going to pay. Some markets too here, I think it started during Fashion last time as a Prime Minister. Some big markets, I think Sura markets here in Lagos, they've given them off-grid power supply. So we have to look beyond the national grid and look at other sources like wind, like even hydro. Actually, you talked about completing the Mambila power project. That power project has been there, and its capacity is 3,500 megawatts. So you can imagine a dam giving us extra 3,500 megawatts. That would be really, really substantial. So, and that project has been there for so long. It will be our joy for the incoming administration to take it as a priority and complete that dam. That hydropower project. It will be one of the biggest hydropower projects in the whole of Africa. I've been there, and I could see the potential, and it pains me that even close to 3 years since I visited the place, no real change has happened. No roads to replace as we speak.
All right, so is there a difference between system disruption and collapse? Going by the words of the Minister of State for Power, it says there has been no collapse this year, but system disruption.
It is just nomenclature. Say partial collapse. Say partial collapse. Usually I refer to as system disruption. But total collapse, you can't call it disruption. Not day.
I've seen them even from their own website tell us that, look, we suffered system collapse and that it came down to as low as 20 megawatts. What do you call that? Do you want to power a whole country with 20 megawatts? When it comes down that low, there's no other name to call it.
It's no other name to call it. By the way, we're all generating now. Your generator at home is generating power. So even the manufacturer association that they're generating, they are not talking about the off-grid alone. It is also what they generate to also power at different industries. In my house, I think I have 450 watt 21. So multiply that. That's what I'm generating, to service myself. And you have many of the houses in the estate are on the same. People are now generating them. So because one, you can't even get fuel for your generator. You can't get diesel. You can't run on diesel for hours. You'll be killing yourself. So the best you can do if you have more money, in fact, just put it together and generate what you can generate. But that can only, perhaps serve you for the house. But for business, for industries, we need something better.
All right.
Flour mills, for example, for years.
Yeah.
They didn't use public power supply.
Yeah.
They were. I don't know about now that this diesel thing has come to kill everybody. Or diesel moved from 225 per liter around March when the war began in Ukraine. It moved to like 800, depending on where you are buying. So I don't know whether flour mills still generates its own power up to today. But the last time I checked, they were not even using public electricity.
There are some production lines you can't afford to break. You can't afford to break once it starts. So such people, they are on generator constantly. They can leave.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Let's move to the final lap of the program today.